recurring pattern of Activator is that these are people that just have this internal sense of urgency. And it's this internal sense of urgency, this desire to get started, that pushes them, and it really pushes other people to act. I just kind of realized, I think this is the hate to wait theme. These people really hate to wait. They really want to get started. Let's do something now. So it's this urgency that you feel. And I mentioned this. I'm married to an activator. We've been married for 40 plus years, and I often tell people I have done a lot more things in my life because I've been married to. To tell you the truth, I might not even be at Gallup if it were not for her. She really kind of pushed me at some points in my life and in career, and so it's that push, and I would call that a very productive push, by the way. So that's at the core. It's not like Achiever about getting stuff done. It's about getting stuff started. So words that I sometimes use to kind of nouns to describe an activator, besides that word activator, are things like catalyst, someone who's a starter, a launcher. I mean, I like the metaphor of a launch because it's like launching a rocket. In order for a rocket to get off the ground, to kind of escape the gravitational pull, it takes a lot of momentum, a lot of power and energy, and that's what people with Activator are really good at, launching things. They're pushers. Another thing that I've been thinking about recently is they are opportunists. I think at the core of activators are people who don't want to miss the chance, miss the moment. It's like there's this window, and it's a small window usually for activators. I don't want to miss the opportunity. So that kind of is just how I see activator as I talk to people who have it and as I've observed people.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned this, Kurt, but when we look at all 34 themes and put them into the 4 domains, I mean, this one really does fall primarily in that influencing theme, that these are people that make things happen. But I know you've done a lot too, and even with some of your Twitter feeds, you've talked about just because we have the ability to make things happen, there's still a difference between every one of these themes, specifically here with Activator, between a raw and mature stage, right? So talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about pushing, I mean, to some degree, if you're in a crowd and people keep pushing you, it's kind of annoying sometimes. Pushing can be annoying, but I think that's the challenge that people with Activator have, is how do I push people in a way that moves them forward and that does not annoy them? I think it's the combination of both of those things. My wife is kind of changing her role a little bit. She was in a sales role, and when you're in a sales role, you have to be proactive. You have to be thinking about, okay, what am I going to do to generate business? And she's kind of moving out of that, and she realized that she was sitting around the other day, and she's thinking, I'm not pushing ahead here. I don't have to push ahead, and it's like her Activator was not being utilized, so I think she's going to come up with a bunch of stuff for me to do now.
And all she needs to do is get you to say yes, right? And then your responsibility kicks in.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think that's the challenge of Activator. How do I push people in a way that feels good to them and gets the results that I have?
Yeah, I like that, where it's pushing intentionally versus impulsively.
Yeah,
right? It's kind of thought through versus just go, 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 are you done yet? But there's really some thinking, some self-regulation involved to them productively making it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think how I kind of talk about raw Activator, I said pushes impulsively, impatiently, indiscriminately, and selfishly, whereas someone who has more mature Activator, they push intentionally, urgently, relevantly. I mean, there's a time and a place to push sometimes, and there's a time and a place not to push. And then also pushing altruistically. How do I push for the benefit of others or for something beyond myself?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of range that you can see, and I think that the challenge is, how do I move toward the more mature side, or move toward the balcony side of Activator?
Yeah. Kurt, I love the way you use the word opportunist in there. That's a word I've used for myself a lot, and never even realized that it would fit in with this strength. But I do see myself as an activator, and when I'm activating, taking advantage. I always say I don't push the door open if it's closed, but if it cracks, man, I push through it, right? I take advantage of the opportunities as they arrive, and move constantly waiting for those things to happen and then jumping at them as soon as they do. So I appreciate you saying that word, opportunist.
I think one of the things that why people with Activator can be opportunists is they don't wait. There's this phrase that says strike while the iron is hot. There is an ultimate time, or kind of a key moment, and so they really take advantage of those opportunities. I was in a nursery one time, and I read a sign on the wall, and the sign said, "The best time to plant a tree is 25 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is now." And I think that's what an opportunist, they don't think about what they missed. They think about, what can I do now that's going to get something started? So I think that's a great picture of what activators do. I'm going to plant a tree today. I'm going to do something now that's going to get something good started. But I think there are a lot of people who have difficult starting things in life.
Yeah, Kurt, I was going to say, I mean, I think that's one of those things, that having activators on the team, or for somebody that has that, they don't have to think about starting. It's just what they naturally do. But I want to go back that kind of that maxim you use, strike while the iron's hot. I know when I've had the opportunity to kind of co-lead with you with these public training courses. So again, where we're training, our goal is to get to a point where we have 1 million external coaches. Every time you use one of these maxims, somebody's writing down, "Kurt, give me more on that." So what are some of the other ones that you've thought through when you think specifically about Activator? What are some other things that just kind of we might hear activators say?
It seems like a lot of maxims activators must have said. This is a kind of a maxim truism kind of. There's a lot of stuff here. Like maybe you've heard the phrase, "He who hesitates is lost." I think maximizers don't hesitate. Remember, they hate to wait, so they strike while the iron is hot. I mean, I've heard this one before. Never put off till tomorrow what you can do today. I think that's an activator probably said that sometime. I mean, that's the one that my wife often tells me.
Yeah.
Because I have some themes that cause me to wait, that cause me to, and don't get me wrong, I think there's a time and a place to wait. But that would be another one. The early bird gets the worm is another one. Speed is of the essence. So those are all what I would call, I think an activator probably said that.
Yeah.
And now it's interesting, in our database, I think there is like, I think only 11% of our database of about 10 million people have activator in their top 5.
Yeah.
So you think about 1 out of approximately every 10 people. So on a team, typically there might not be a lot of activator. It only might take one actually. Someone who's pushing. And it's, how do I push without being pushy? How do I push without being perceived as being pushy?
Yeah, I often wonder, and I'm of the mind too, where I've got a lot of strategic thinking themes. So often wonder how many great strategic thinking conversations, meetings, roundtables are happening around the world, but we don't have an activator at the table that at the end of the meeting we say, "Great, let's go do it." So do we the world hunger, but the next month we got together, nobody was fed because we just talked about it.
Yeah, so, or I think when activator is absent, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of thinking, there's not much action. And I think you need all 3 of those actually.
Let me ask you this. This is a question from the chat room real quick. So guest 87 writes, "I'm interested in the fact that this description for activator is a lot in capital letters like me. However, it's number 21 on my list." Any thoughts on that?
So, yeah, I mean, I would like to, I don't know if I have time to kind of coach this person, but I think there are probably other sources of things that might get you moving. I mean, I think sometimes people are very, they have values that are important to them, and they will act because of the passion or their commitment to some core value. It'll bring a momentum to them. I think that's one that just comes off the top of my mind. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of study, I'd want to, if I was coaching this person, I would want to say, okay, tell me about some things you've started. Give me a list of the things that you initiated, and I'd like to look at their top 5 to see if there might be some other themes that contribute to that. Sometimes people might have woo, which is really about social initiative. It's a little bit different than activator. Activator is more what I call motivational initiative. So it's hard to say, but it doesn't surprise me. I think that people find different ways to get things started and to be kind of pushers of things.